Good morning, everybody. Today is a Maxime Bernier Twitter roundup because there are a lot of really meaty topics he's getting into recently in Twitter, and I wanted to cover them. So here we go. Maxime Bernier Twitter roundup, free speech edition. Maxime Bernier says, quote, "A People's Party of Canada government will repeal all the restrictions on free speech imposed by the Trudeau Liberals and will counteract the left's witch hunt and authoritarian attempts to impose its politically correct dogmas everywhere and on everyone." I think this deserves to go into a plank on the website, sir. Please add it to the plank because I think it's one of the most important things to a lot of people. That goes on the top of your 2019 electoral platform. I think people will flock to you in droves. Okay, and they already are, but that's beside the point. Here's a thread. I've done birth tourism articles before, videos before. You can look it up. I can't remember. Nigeria, I think, is the name, and what was it? It was a catchy name. I did 2 or 3 videos on it last year, but just look up birth tourism and you'll come across those videos. This became a hot button issue last year when the Conservatives during the convention said they would end birth tourism, end the automatic citizenship for anyone born on Canadian soil, and this was seen as xenophobic or something to that effect in the press at the time. And make no mistake, it is not. There are countries that are taking advantage of this, as Mr. Bernier is going to illustrate in the thread that I'm going to read right now. Here it goes. Maxime Bernier says, quote, "Are we masochistic or what? Ads tell women that going to Canada for automatic citizenship is a gift for their babies since their children will be able to get free education, cheap university tuition, and student loans. The ads are being run by brokers offering one-stop shopping for women, with offers to put together packages including transportation, housing, meals, contracts, pre and post natal medical appointments, shopping, and checking in at hospitals. Some of the ads tell women their offspring can sponsor their parents under family reunification. Quote, you want to retire in Canada, but you don't meet the requirements? You can give birth to your child in Canada. When your child turns 18, your child can apply for the parents. Because they're a citizen, right? It's insanity. This is going on, and it's been widely known and underreported for a very long time. There are people who make a lot of money in foreign countries with that service, with the service that Bernier is describing, the pre- and postnatal care and all that stuff. There are houses in Vancouver dedicated to this. There are services in Nigeria and all sorts of other places. In fact, it is not rare for people in those countries to have, when they get pregnant, to have a plan to come to Canada to have their baby, or the United States because it's safer, right? Like less birth mortality rate, a lower birth mortality rate, right? That means your baby doesn't die for whatever reason during birth in Canada because we're good at that. And so people come here, and the added bonus to that is they get citizenship like that. So it's interesting to be aware. This should inform the conversation, and nobody should be shouted down as a xenophobic racist for saying that's not what the intention is. That's not how citizenship should be granted. If your parents are Canadian and they live in Canada, then by all means. If your parents have traveled here in order to give birth so that they can retire in Canada, no way. It makes no sense. They haven't contributed to the system. They have no intention of contributing to the system, and they will be a burden to taxpayers. They will be a burden to the system because they haven't paid into it. That is important. We have a limited amount of money. There are a lot of people in the world. Really. We can drown ourselves if we're not intelligent about the limits we put onto our system. Because if you overstress it, it breaks. Just like the Liberals are proving with our immigration system, our refugee system, with all of the systems that they've touched. It's incredible. Back to Maxime Bernier. Quote, this short clip by John Stuzel shows how the entertainment industry and the media have been fear-mongering for years about a fake climate emergency. This week's climate hysteria in Ottawa is just another attempt to make us vote for green socialism. Okay, and we'll just watch this quick clip as it's... Oh, no, it's too long. I was going to watch it, but it's too long. All right. Maxime Bernier says, quote, Liberal MP seriously proposes new kangaroo court to harass and punish citizens for thought crimes online. This government is waging an all-out war against free speech. Where will it end? In October. In October, if we're lucky. Because I don't think Mr. Scheer is going to repeal any of this stuff. This gives power to the PMO, power to the Prime Minister to shut down free speech. They've purchased the media, and the media is not reporting on a lot of the things. And the things they are reporting on, it's a very sanitized, very soft version, because this is draconian. Make no mistake. There, Mr. Erskine Smith, somebody said, to correct my pronunciation, I apologize, but he was saying that the criminal code is not up to snuff in policing online speech. And again, we're going to get to, I think we're going to get to it right now. Yeah, here it is. Mr. Bernier's tweeting, quote, "Want to know what the Liberals have in mind as they push to restrict free speech on social media? Minister Miriam Monsef offers my tweet about being blocked by Michelle Rempel as an example of, quote, online violence and hate that needs to be stamped out." Yeah, so we're going to look at this whole thread. But Mr. Bernier's tweet is used as an example of online violence, hate speech. This is what we're talking about. This is the slipperiest slope you can get on. If you are not in line and thinking with the group, then you are a hateful person and you deserve to be punched like a Nazi. That's what they're trying to do here. And they're trying to do it online. And the mechanisms they're trying to establish to police it here, right, are outside of the criminal code, are outside of the long-standing precedent and gold standard of law that was the system that we had in place prior to the human social justice, human rights tribunals of Ontario and all of the extra other crazy quasi courts that have been enacted because the original system was underfunded and broke down. It takes time because they keep adding appeals, et cetera, et cetera. They've whittled down the process to such a degree that it's almost impossible for a regular person to get proper justice. And if justice is obvious, if justice is obvious in a case like SNC, like they need to go to court and prove that their innocence rather than getting a stay from the Prime Minister or getting, new rules which have been drafted multiple times for SNC by the Prime Minister. It's interesting, right, what they're doing. So here's the thread about cyber violence. Yep, Miriam Monsef, MP and Cabinet Minister, I believe. Minister, I think. Yeah, anyway. Let's talk about cyber violence. In a world where so many of us spend a significant part of our days connected, the violence perpetrated online has real and dangerous consequences. No one is immune to cyber violence. It happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all over the world. In Canada, we are committed to shining a light on this behavior, calling it out and bringing it to an end. With our G7 partners, we began work on combating online violence last year. This week, the Prime Minister announced an online charter that will help guide the rules of transparent and accountable digital practice. That's a laughable statement, by the way. Back to her. We have a responsibility as an online community, as Canadians, and as leaders to stamp out cyber violence. That's why the Department for Women and Gender Equality is working with partners across the country to prevent and eliminate cyber violence. So what exactly is cyber violence? We often see pushback, a denial of its legitimacy. People see cyber violence as a made-up thing. Yeah, it is a made-up thing, just like Islamophobia. Back to the article. But research and experience shows it's real. Sure, okay. And so are its impacts. Back to her. Cyber violence is the use of social media, cell phones, and other electronic devices to do harm. It is often repetitive, it is often anonymous, and it has serious and dangerous consequences. Ready for a few examples? Looking at the Twitter feeds of women in leadership, I came across a trove of online violence and hate. And she links to, that's anonymous. This is replying to Irka Khalid. And it says, "It offends me that someone like you, the architect of the most ridiculous motion ever created in history, M103, that you used to sow seeds of division and hate, and you are praising my charter. You are Canada's colon cancer and will be surgically removed this fall." That's online hate, according to Ms. Monsef. Here's another one, and this is blurred out. Yeah, Nikki is as much a waste of Canadians' taxpayer money as Rempel and dingbatters. Okay, that's online hate, right? She wants this stamped out. She wants to use the full power of the government to say that is wrong. And how are they going to do it? If you go back and look at the article for Nathaniel Erskine Smith, and I know that's not how you say his name, but he was saying he wants to use non-criminal financial charges, like fines. We're going to fine you. So we're going to bankrupt you and make you learn that you can never do that again, you hateful person. Here's another anonymous one. Can you guess who that is? Rhymes with Axime Mernier. It says, finally got blocked by @Michelle Rempel. Poor little entitled princess could not take the heat anymore. Too many people criticizing her hypocritical virtue signaling and her support for far-left authoritarians. Anyone still wondering why I left the CPC? Hashtag blocked by Rempel. Hashtag PPC 2019. True, Rempel is an embarrassment. Okay, that's a response. But the point here is, how authoritarian are we going to let our government get? This is a link that Miss Monsef has in here. Hold on a second here. I got ahead of myself. I must have clicked into one of the tweets. I apologize. So she used Bernier's tweet as an example, and then another one, another anonymous one, I suppose. Shut it, bimbo. And how about you swim home from France? Okay. Online hate, right? And let's be frank, if you watch the comments of this thread, I'm sure you'll see it in real time. So how are we tackling this issue? Here's one of the projects we're funding. Project Shift. It's led by the YMCA Canada, YWCA Canada, sorry, and includes cross-sectorial partners from across Canada. Shift project. The RQCALACS is our second national project working in Francophone communities in Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick to support marginalized women and girls. We have supported regional projects across Canada too, and the private sector is coming on board. It's up to us to all combat cyber violence. Now it's your turn. What will you do? And I wanted to show you the Shift project. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. And the Shift project is Project Shift, creating a safer digital world for young women, is a national multi-year project led by YWCA Canada and funded by the Status of Women Canada. The YWCA Canada convened cross-sector stakeholders to work towards systemic change by developing and implementing strategies that prevent and eliminate cyber violence against young women and girls. Project Shift establishes the need for gender lens to understand violence online and make recommendations for a range of public and private actors, from educational institutions to parents and information communications and technology organizations to counselors and police. Make no mistake, cyber violence is just words online that people don't like. If you're inciting violence, if you're targeting somebody and saying, like, go kill yourself, which I've got to tell you, sometimes that happens on places like Reddit or Twitter. If you go against what the left likes. And yes, somebody said, watch the Amazing Polly video about the left as a cult. Totally, she 100% nails it. Absolutely 100%. So I've been told that a bunch because I'm denying all sorts of certain things that if you deny those things, or if you talk about those things like radical Islam, climate change in a way that people are uncomfortable with, saying like, hey, where's the warming? What's happening there? That seems kind of weird, right? Well, I'm not even halfway through my tabs, and I've already hit my usual or approximate time of my video. I'll show you one last clip. And I mean, really, the attack on speech that is not directly inciting violence against you personally or against a group or something to that effect, like honestly, directly inciting violence, saying like, let's go and hurt X person right now, or in 2 hours, or let's meet up and hurt this person. That is speech that rises to the level of criminality. But saying facts like, there are any number of facts that people find abhorrent these days, and it's incredible that they're trying to label it as a hate, cyber violence for Maxime Bernier to say an entitled little princess blocking people. This woman is an MP, and there are examples of her saying much worse things than entitled little princess to tax-paying constituents. And that's not a problem, but Maxime Bernier saying this is a problem, and is that who you want representing the Conservatives in the House of Commons? Because it doesn't seem like a very conservative position. That's not hate speech. That's an opinion, and there's a conversation to be had there. And Michelle Rempel may not like that opinion, but it's an opinion nonetheless. And Nikki is as much a waste of Canadian taxpayer money as a Rempel and dingbatters. I mean, at this point in time, what's hateful about that? Saying somebody's a waste of taxpayer money. When your job is in the House of Commons and people are paying your salary with their tax dollars, they have a right to criticize you, even fairly or unfairly. And I mean, that's just how things are. Same with Urka Khalid. And sorry if I've got that wrong. Somebody's not allowed to be offended by her or her laws. We live in a democracy. People are allowed to express their opinions these days. The attack on democracy, the attack on speech, the attack on freedom of thought online is incredibly concerning. And I'm going to leave it there today because, there this morning. I'm going to do the second half of this tweet roundup soon, but I don't want my tax dollars going to this garbage. I don't want my tax dollars paying for this trash. This is ridiculous. This is such a waste of time. and money and a distraction. I hope the Trudeau Liberals lose all of their seats. And I hope Miriam Monsef, if that's how you say her name, if I've got that wrong, I apologize. I hope she also loses her seat. So, is that hate speech? Am I being a bully now, Miss Monsef? Is that something that needs to be stamped out as well? Love to have you on the show. We can discuss it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out the People's Party of Canada.ca and look out for Maxime Bernier Twitter Roundup Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. I don't know what I'll call it, but, whatever. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.